Hey everybody, welcome back to Champ and Sons and our off season of our NCAA coaching dynasty series. We've just finished up our second season as the offensive coordinator of the Northwestern Wildcats. Went to back-to-back Big Ten title games and lost them both in pretty humiliating fashion, but we've had a couple of the best seasons that Northwestern has ever seen, getting in double-digit wins each season. We did have a Fiesta Bowl win with a close Rose Bowl defeat. Things happen. Sometimes you win games, sometimes you lose one. Turnovers can be a killer. But coming into this offseason, we are hopeful of maybe what the team can be, but also we're going to take a look at some coaching opportunities. We've been there for 2 seasons. We've done pretty well. Right now, I'm not saying we're going to get a head coaching shot at a top school. Or even at a Power 5 school, but hey, we need to see what's available to us. Maybe something might come, and we can pull out, a little rabbit out of the hat and, take the reins somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what happens here and where our career is going to take us. It looks like so far a lot of different big schools are getting head coaches. Once again, didn't expect to get any of those jobs, but always keep your fingers crossed. And it lets us know what other offensive coordinator jobs there may be out there. You know what I'm saying? So it's something to take a look at and something to think about. So we're trying to check out the situation to see kind of what is happening in the landscape. And there's a lot of changes going on. I mean, a lot of changes going on. We are up for the Raging Cajuns, but they pass us over, so it happens. Now you'll notice the Yukon and the Charlotte logo is. I didn't update the revamped yet at this point of the recording, so some of the stuff is still a little wonky, but hey, it happens. No big deal. The head coaching at Tulsa. I get hiring internally. I really do. But some of these jobs, I think, would be something that we could be pretty well set up for. It's just kind of interesting to see how the landscape is shaping out and what coaches are getting some of these jobs, whether it's Louisiana Tech or, so forth. Now, Ball State does offer us a job with the MAC. And I don't mind starting out at a smaller school. I'm just not. I want to feel that school. I want to have. I don't know. I mean, would you have accepted the Ball State job? Put it down in the comments. If you're an offensive coordinator at a school like Northwestern, would you have accepted Ball State? Vandy does offer us a hell of an opportunity, right? They really do. But man, I can't take it. We're not ready for the SEC at this point. And if we are going to the SEC, trying to build up a Vandy school is not something I'm prepared to do at this point. So I do pass that one up. Now, UTEP is an interesting school. They do offer us an opportunity in Conference USA. It's a 5-year contract. They are a team that is pretty decent. And it's a team we know, right? It just is. So we are going to go ahead and sign with them. We played against them when we were the offensive coordinator of North Texas, right? So it offers some familiarity. Now, we jump in and take a look at some of the players leaving. We got a healthy amount of them, but it's not like transferring or they're leaving early. These are guys who are just done with college and moving on with their life. So it's interesting looking at the makeup of the school. Now, we do have Jackson, a middle linebacker from North Texas, coming in, an older our first school that we started out. So we definitely allow him to transfer just to kind of get a little jab in at the mean green there. And I think he's got potential to help us out. That's the biggest thing that we're looking at right now is, one, we need to get some good performances in during this season to set us up for the future. UTEP is, they're not going to be a national powerhouse. They're just not. So this is definitely a stepping stone kind of career move, and I'm okay with that. I think everybody else should be too. Signed a top 25 class. We pulled out top 25. That's kind of amazing. Not sure how we got that one done. They must have done some hellacious recruiting prior to us getting there. We did get a couple of decent guys in the high 60s, so that's about what I would expect for UTEP recruiting, essentially, right? Would be that. So we do have a couple of other things to look at. I like how it says top 25, and yet here we are at 92. It's kind of baffling little messages that pop up there. Maybe that was a reflection from our old time at Northwestern, but I'm not sure where that came along. Yeah. We did get a lot of 3-star athletes, and that's kind of our premier guys right now. You know, we're not at a point where we're going to step up and get your 4 stars and even 5s, really, but maybe you snag a 4 here or there. But 3 stars is generally what we're going to be shooting for. Now, since we are coming over, we've got to make our head coaching upgrades. This is going to be for the overall playing in the field, and then also for recruiting. So we need to use these points sparingly. The antifreeze one is a pretty big one to get, and it kind of definitely does help out quite a bit when it comes to playing on the road. So need to keep that stuff in mind. Now, we are hammering up really these sections to help us win. And in reality, I do that mainly just because I truly think at this stage, at least in the game, it's a combination of the school, but also whether or not you're winning or losing. Right? Now here, we kind of are completely forgetting to do the recruiting side. You know, I get it. That's okay. As long as we win some games, I think we'll be able to attract some recruits. And here you see me kind of recognizing my mistake. So let's go back and let's reset some of these. It's funny when you're doing it and then you see it as you do a voiceover. It is kind of interesting to see as it goes. Antifreeze, it is still one of the bigger ones that is going to definitely play an effect. So we do hit it, but one of the biggest things I wanted to get was the Coach Stradamus one, where you can get kind of those predictions on what the defense is going to run. That is going to help out. We're not going to have the easiest schedule in the world, so we're definitely going to need to have that kind of little advantage right there. Now we do add points for the opener and the closer move just because we are going to need those additional points is really what it boils down to. As we recruit, we are going to need to have the additional ones. And then knowing that we like to throw the ball. Are we an air raid by any, like the old Tech air raid? No. We're an option team, but we do like to throw the ball. And so we got to have our offensive passing game kind of up to standard there. So taking a look at our roster, nobody labeled as an athlete coming in from the recruiting class, so those are all going to kind of stay. I don't know enough about these players truly yet to change their positions. It's going to be one of those things where they are going to be where they are going to be, as it is. Now, take a look at the roster for the first time after the training upgrades that we have. Holstein, our quarterback, he is a junior redshirt. He's an 86, but Daniel Greek comes in at an 84. And in reality, there's not a whole lot of differences with the exception of Greek's speed rating. And being in an option, that's fairly important. However, we use the option to build on the passing game. So we're going to have to – I'm going to keep our main passer in. Now, Burgess Jr., our running back, he is a senior. His speed is 87, so he's slower than Jacobs. But overall, everything else he has is really what we need for performance. And I think maybe we might look at some point going to more of a two-back kind of setup. Let him be our primary, then Jacobs be, that speed home run type hitter shot that we look for on some big plays. Receiving core, it is lacking, to say the least. Grant is our fastest guy at an 88 speed, but overall 64. A lot of them have some good agility and acceleration. Awareness is where they kind of falter at, is where you start to see the downgrades. So we're going to have to keep a watch on that. Sieb, our tight end, 78 overall. He's got good speed and strength and acceleration, but once again, awareness kind of lacking, essentially. Now, left tackle, we didn't have any veteran players labeled at the left tackle spot, so that's going to be interesting to see how this season shapes out as we get freshmen put in, because that's just one of the things that you kind of have to look at, is putting in some freshmen in there. And anywhere we go, especially once we really choose to settle down, you're going to have to build it up, and it's going to take some years, and freshmen are going to be the way to do that. So just keep that in mind as we kind of go along in this season. Now, at left end is a sophomore pass rusher. He's the only veteran left end that we have. He's a 76 overall, but look at the increase. Overall +5 from training. That is pretty excessive and a pretty big leap for him. So I think he's got definite potential. He is only a sophomore. A couple more years, the kid's going to probably be pretty outstanding, to say the least. Defensive tackle, Tunga Huia, 83 overall, our premier defensive tackle. He's a senior. He's a pass rusher. He's someone that I think is going to be a game breaker. Him mixed in with McIver Brown, both of those guys up the middle. Yeah, 79 doesn't seem all that great, but for what we're going to be playing, these guys are pretty dang good. And I think is going to help set us up defensively in a very positive way. Linebacker, outside linebacker, I think we got decent speed with our linebacker core. Wilson, our middle linebacker, 79, but our right outside, 82. And really, I think in the linebacker area, yeah, you need to have your strength and your agility, but speed, awareness, and tackling is what we definitely need, and that's kind of where they do have their higher points at as far as our overall ratings go. Free safety, 81 overall. I do worry about our safeties and our defensive backs. It's going to be tough to cover some of these guys. Receivers, I don't care if you're a 2-star receiver. If you got speed, you can beat anybody. If you can catch the ball, that can present an issue. So we are going to have to watch out for that as the season goes, and maybe learn to adjust our defense accordingly. It is going to be different with this defense, with these players that we do have. So this is going to be our first time in the series running the defense. We haven't done that before. Before it's been all offense. So it's something we're definitely going to have to rely on and look at and make adjustments to. So now coming to the recruiting stage. Got to love it. We're going to fill it out firstly with the highest rated, 4-star, 3-star, and on down. But we got to be in their first, second, third position. Maybe we might stretch it out to fourth, depending on how many recruits we actually have, where those are the rankings that we're in. So it's looking at, we got a lot of good talent coming up. Linebacker, defensive back, safeties. A lot of these 3-star guys that are definitely our type of talent that we pick up, that we can get. Those are really what I think we are going to be looking for. Right, and free safety and strong safety is definitely a need. It does say we need a quarterback because our main one is a senior. We will look at getting a quarterback, definitely. We have some time, though. We got some guys we can develop as we go. So I'm not going to stress about that at this moment. But right now it's just looking at some of these major position needs. With what's out there, we're talking 2-star guys, 1-star guys. It happens. That's just the way it goes. These are people we got to pull in, and the better we perform, the more guys that are going to have interest in coming to our school. That's how recruiting works, right? We can put on a full court press onto them, but we've also got to win games. That's a big thing. Got to win games, and that's what we're going to try to do here. So we're filling out the final spots on our recruit board. Hopefully some of these guys will be a gem. We'll have to take a look once we get into the initial recruiting and we do scouting. We should get scouting probably for a little over half of these guys. So hopefully we find some gems kind of mixed in there. Other guys are probably going to be mid-60s, mid to low 60s, I would assume. So it's going to be interesting as we take a look at these recruits and as we kind of see what their ratings are. So yeah, Ryan Cooper dropped down. Richard Johnson shot up to a 75 overall athlete. Definitely kind of a gem there. We're finding some bust, and that's okay. That happens. I'd rather know early on than later in the recruiting if a guy's a bust, right? But like I said, a lot of mid-60s, and that's kind of where we stand. I expected that. You know, I'm not hitting on any one of these guys expecting to go from 63 to 75. That just would not be realistic. Josh Kilpatrick, kind of a shocker. He dropped down to a 65 from a 69, but it's going to happen. We'll have to check out what other stuff in scouting that he's got available and kind of where we stand with them. So taking a look at our red shirt players, there are already a lot of red shirts on the roster. Running back, we got 4 of them. So yeah, I do red shirt our freshmen just because there's no need to have them out there. I've got 3 other running backs in front of them, so it is what it is. If I truly have to, I'll pull them out and unred shirt them. Tight end, same way. We got 4. Sorry, freshmen, you're getting red shirted. Now, here's what's funny. Having some of these freshman linemen come in and be so highly rated on the depth chart. It's kind of a shocker to see a little bit. You know, some of these guys come in as freshmen, be second on the depth chart against a couple different veterans. So, now, Fogel, he's one of those guys you could probably cut him without an impact to the team. He's a 58 overall, but I also do think, you know, him like Fry, I think that we just redshirted, maybe they just need some time to develop, right? I didn't really recruit these guys, but let's see what they can do. If they're no good coming into next season, their ratings are still real low after redshirt season, then they're SOL, and we'll just cut them. That's life. That's football. They can get over it. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, Williams and Singletary, both those guys are kind of faster. And I need kick returners and punt returners, and speed is a big deal for those. So I don't really redshirt those guys as a yet. And the main reason for that is their speed. I love having speed on the field in those return positions. So that's probably where we're going to be putting them at. And now then, a look at our final depth chart as we come in, and like I said, punt returner and kick returner. Speed for me is going to be the biggest rating. I don't care what your overall is. If your overall is 96, but your speed is an 88, and I got someone who I know has a speed in the 90s, then I'm going to go with the person I know that has a speed in the 90s. You know, I just am. That's makes more sense to me anyways. And so we are going to try to fill in and get some of these faster guys in there and take a look and see, one, where are they a starter right now, because I really don't want to get a starter hurt. Just not what I want to do. So we do take some of those guys a little bit further down on the depth chart that have that speed. All right, well, you're moved up now in the return game. Here's an opportunity to prove you belong here on the roster and with this team. Now, the second kick returner, I didn't change him out. He is a running back. He's got blocking capabilities, so that was a big deal to me, looking at his blocking capability, and that's kind of why I kept him in there, knowing, you know, where he is and what he would do. And I hate when they do this. They put a tight end where, you know, a receiver should be. No, I don't need that in my life. Doesn't make any damn sense. Leave my guy. For my starting receivers on the depth chart, I need all of my receivers. It's the only way to get them in. It's the only way to get them the reps that they need. Plain and simple. Along the line, we are going to fill in some gaps with, you know, maybe a left guard is going to have a backup right guard. You know, we're going to have to shift guys down the line, especially as injuries occur. That's just the nature of the beast. That's football for you. So, finishing up the final little roster changes or depth chart kind of changes here. I just want to make sure when we look at the so defensive tackle, we have middle linebackers in for the 3rd and 4th spot. I don't know why that happens. These guys weren't defensive linemen that we changed a position on or anything. So we're just fixing a lot of that out at this point. And so that's kind of why you see it show up the way that it does. But that does get annoying every now and then, at that point of why do I have a linebacker 5th on the depth chart at defensive tackle? Shouldn't be that way. I don't care if I don't have 5 defensive tackles. I just need my 4. Leave me alone. Leave those guys out. I'm not putting a linebacker in a defensive tackle. You've got to be kidding me. So the final little adjustments here that we're going through on the defensive side, like I said, it's just to solidify the positions to make sure that as injuries occur, we're filling in the right spots. May not substitute players have been transferred to sit out a year. Yeah, I know. I realize that now. Damn it. I wanted Jackson in. I think he'd be a good fill-in for us right there in that segment, but it is what it is. Cornerback, for some reason, middle linebacker stuck there. I know he's got speed, but I don't care. That's not what I care about. I need him playing linebacker, not defensive back. So, yeah, we're good set up there. Free safety. It's one of those, come on, guys. Why are we even doing that? Linebacker in the free safety spot again. Now, that's linebacker to safety. Okay, I can see the transition. But, yeah, so it's one of those things that we're kind of just filling in these spots, getting everything set up and ready for the season. We do need to look at custom schedules. Now, I have moved us out of Conference USA to the American Athletic Conference 1. It's an up-and-coming conference with all the changes that are happening, teams that are getting pulled in. It's a bigger conference, more talent to play against, and a little bit more better stature than Conference USA, I would say. So, to hit with alignment, we also moved a lot of the teams over into their correct one with limitations on how many we could actually do. So, that's the way it is. Now, to start out the season, we are going up against our old foe, Northwestern. That, I love going up against my previous schools. That's one of the biggest reasons why I did it. And I like the idea of having 3 non-conference games, and then boom, have a bye week and then jump into your conference schedule. Right? Get that. Have your 3 non-conference, schedule some good teams, and then boom, jump into non-conference and get things going. TCU, if you're at UTEP, you got to play another team from Texas in non-conference. You just got to. So we did. And then Washington, I wanted a talented team on the schedule just to kind of see really where we rate. And obviously, in reality, Washington is not going to go to El Paso to play at UTEP. We're going to travel to, Spokane, where they play at? Or are they in Seattle? Wherever they play, that's where we're going to go. We're going to come to them. We put them 3rd on the roster. Everybody else is all conference games. Rice is at 23. Tulane's at 22. Rice being at 23 is kind of interesting to see how their seasons have shaped out in these last few years in the game. But they're 23. Tulane's 22. Our strength of schedule is a B+. We got games against SMU, North Texas, Memphis, UTSA. A lot of teams that actually fare pretty decently. And have had good seasons in reality here in the recent past. So that's a good way to get our first season under our belt, our first season test, to kind of see where we're at, what we can do as a coach here in this league, essentially. And having stepped up, it's our time to basically put our money where our mouth is and see what we can do in the American Athletic Conference. East Carolina, 2 road games to start out conference play. That is a little tougher than what I like. But hey, it's one of those. It is what it is. That's just how the schedule shapes out. That's life. Move on. At least we finished with 2 straight home games before conference championship week. UTSA and Texas State prefer to make them come to us. So that's a little bit of an advantage there. Start out on the road in conference, finish up at home in conference. So it'll be interesting to see how this season shapes out. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Definitely hit a thumbs up if you're ready to see us take on our old job in Northwestern in game 1 of this new season here, as we are now the head coach of the UTEP Miners in our college football coaching dynasty. So I will see y'all in the next episode, everybody. As always, stay safe, and well, y'all know how it goes from here, right? Later, y'all.